Good morning. I'm here with my great friend Daniel Walker from Bobble Walker Law, barristers and solicitor, and today we're going to be talking about digital footprint and legal repercussions. My name is Miriam Golubgir, and as some of you may know, I have been providing information for local businesses in the area that are looking to learn more about marketing and digital marketing, and I have partnered up with some of the very well-known individuals in their own reputable industries to kind of shine a light on, it's not just about marketing, there's a lot more to add it to the marketing that you do for your business, including when it comes to legal, finance, and other aspects of your marketing. Go.
Thanks, Miriam. My name is Daniel Walker. I'm a lawyer here in Toronto, Ontario, and I've been practicing law for about 7 years, dealing primarily in civil and commercial litigation. We thought that we would put on this seminar for small and medium-sized businesses to help them navigate the digital footprint and the digital world, especially in times of COVID-19. More businesses are using online tools to connect with their customers, so it's even more essential that business owners as well as customers understand the risks and opportunities that exist in today's world. So one of the issues that we're going to be covering today is going to be the primary component of legal issues in the digital world. And as we all understand, the digital footprint is all the stuff you leave behind on the internet. Social media, Skype calls, the use of apps, email records. All your email history is basically available with a click away to someone who may want to look into your business or you personally. And so it's really important that whatever footprint that you leave behind does nothing to expose your business to any legal risks. And that's one of the things that we want to talk to you about today. We'll be talking about the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act, which is called PIPEDA. We'll be talking about copyright and trademarks. We'll be talking about reviews and your competition, libel and defamation law, and then we'll be looking at other legal risks to determine how you could best protect yourself and your business. So to start off, I think most of us are aware of some of the basic nuances of privacy law. Privacy is a fundamental right of every Canadian, and in order to protect that right, companies are required by federal and provincial law to protect your personal information. Now, how is this relevant to you? Well, you are a business owner, and presumably you're processing credit cards. You're keeping clients' documentation, their work orders, their credit cards in your computer system or in your filing cabinet. So the federal legislation applies generally to all personal information that the private sector holds. And so it's really important that whatever information that you hold, whether it be credit cards, whether it be any data pertaining to your client or any of their businesses, is kept safely and securely. The most important thing is, if you're having an online business, cybersecurity. So what steps as a business are you taking to ensure that your server where you're running your company from, or your online website where customers can place their order, are securely managed? Because if they're not, those individuals, if there was a breach, could make a legal claim that you did not do a reasonable job to protect their information. It also exposes you to a privacy risk with the Privacy Commissioner, which does have the mandate to investigate any types of breaches. So the law was initially started in 2000 and has been updated a number of times since then, in 2015 and 2018. And any breach that involves customer information, such as a financial loss or any type of other personal information, must be reported to the Privacy Office. We recommend to our clients that they keep a running list or a document where they are able to identify any breaches. Certainly, we would hope that there are no breaches. However, if you're a small and medium-sized business, it's essential that you find ways to ensure that there are no intrusions. So some of the things that we recommend is partnering with a good IT company, somebody that would install very good privacy software on your computers, antivirus software, malware software, all those things would then go towards strengthening a case that you as a business owner have done what you can to be reasonable in terms of the protection that you're trying to provide. So the question is, how else does this legislation, which is called PIPEDA, apply to you, a small business? Well, if a customer comes to you and says, I've submitted my credit card payment to you over your website, what's happening with that information? Or how are you storing my work order? It's your obligation as a business owner to provide the customer with that information. You have to be able to explain what steps it is that you're taking to protect that information. And reporting and notification is just one consideration. And depending on the nature of the incident, you may sometimes, if the breach is very serious and you're a larger business, you may need to engage a forensic IT company to recover the data, public relations consultants to deal with media and technical issues if hackers demand ransom payments. So imagine if you were a medium-sized business and there was some confidential proprietary information on your server that suddenly got hacked. The new trend with some of these hackers is to seek ransom payments from the companies that they've hacked. If you fail to follow the legislation, you can receive fines of up to $100,000. So there's obviously a financial incentive or disincentive as to why you should adhere to the legislation. A $100,000 fine can be devastating to any small business, even before you consider the added costs of somebody filing a potential lawsuit, a credit card being used and somebody's credit rating falling through, and as a result, them not being able to, let's say, purchase an investment property or some other transaction deals. Because you have to remember, in lawsuits, the law firm will always try to say that your conduct was not reasonable, that you failed in your duty of care, in your standard of care, and as a result of those failures, you have certain damages that have occurred. So it's very essential that businesses understand that they are required to do these things. And the fact is, many small businesses aren't doing enough to protect themselves. Small businesses with limited expertise and resources can sometimes take the hardest hit. Most don't have forensic IT companies or public relations experts. So it's very important to rely on marketing companies such as the one that Miriam provides and law firms, and engage those to determine what is your exposure, what do you need to do? Because with a forensic IT company, you'll be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars possibly, whereas if you do things right away correctly, the financial implications are much smaller. So having a plan is really essential. So let me now turn to the second component, which is copyright and trademark. So very often what we do see in our business is where our clients come to us and say, well, we started a business 5-6 years ago, and now one of our competitors is using our slogan, they're using our trademark. And it's essential that whenever you start a business, you understand with your marketing team that you need to protect your own trademarks, your copyrights, your brand, and along with the clients that you're promoting. You have to, on a regular basis, monitor social media platforms and ensure that your intellectual property is not being stolen. So if you have a unique business or some unique product that you're marketing, it's really important that you team up with your marketing team and an IP lawyer to discuss those type of issues. You should also have a process in place, such as a work for hire contract. So if somebody is working for your business on a contract basis, short term, it's essential that you have some kind of independent contract to ensure that whatever work is created under that contract belongs to your business and stays with your business. And that if somebody violates that agreement, there will be financial consequences. I can't emphasize enough how important it is that if you intend to use images or illustrations or cartoons or pictures from from Google or Yahoo, it's essential that you determine where do those come from and how do I pay for the rights for those images, because the risk isn't really worth it. For about $45 or $25 a month, or even a one-time fee, you can obtain very often these type of images from various websites. So instead of taking the shortcut and then finding yourself in trouble by receiving a letter for violating copyright or trademark law, you can just pay the fee and be sure that you're not going to get such a threatening documentation. Finally, if you intend to use any trademarks or any other something proprietary, it's important that you conduct a trademark clearance. And that can be done on the Canadian Trademarks Database, which is a free tool. You can go online and seek the assistance of trademark specialists or a lawyer or another individual that might do this stuff for a living, and they'll be able to look things up and tell you whether the trademark that you wish to register could run into any problems. So one of the things that we've seen over the last few years is the sudden rise in the way Google reviews has impacted businesses. We all want to have 5 stars for our business, and we all strive to make sure that our customers are happy. But far too often we see instances where either reviews are being posted in a malicious manner by somebody who could be a competitor, somebody who is not a friend of yours, or instances where you yourself, a business owner, in an effort to try to boost your business's profile, are posting those same type of reviews. And Miriam is going to talk about some of the Google search engine issues that arise out of that. I, however, will focus on the legal issues. So online reviews and its dangers. So if somebody, including you, posts some kind of online review that is negative, is not true, you run the risk that you could possibly get sued, primarily under the laws of libel. And we've seen an increase in this over the last few years, whether it be because of Twitter, Facebook, or Google, where business owners or someone else, in some instances, has posted something about their competitor. The words could be deemed defamatory. They could be damaging the reputation of that business. The words would refer to the plaintiff, and the words were published, meaning that they were communicated on the internet. And in many instances, individuals will receive a letter that they should be retracting that information, failure which they will be subject to a lawsuit. And so many of those cases do settle. In fact, 90 to 95% of cases do settle. But there are also often cases where individuals do want justice and they pursue the matter fully within the court system. And so I'm going to give you some examples here. So here we have a few reviews that you can see where individuals owners have responded to some of the negative reviews. And this is just an example of what not to do. Because at the end of the day, as a business owner, when somebody leaves you a negative review, you should always try to stay above the fray. Always try to be positive, because the last thing that you want is for this individual to then later on take your review, post it somewhere on Facebook, on Reddit, on Twitter, and amplify the negativity. And we live in what I call, to some extent, very interesting times, in the sense that if you're a business owner and you rub somebody the wrong way with a negative review, it can have more repercussions, because there could be efforts to boycott your business. You could be posted on Reddit, and other people could then create groups to target your business, which can impact your bottom line, the financials that come in at the end of the month. So the question that I always ask business owners is, if somebody leaves you a negative review and you feel angry and that it's untrue, is it worth responding in a negative way, or is it more common sense to reply in a positive message and address whether this is a fake review, and then through Miriam and her company, try to address that. If, however, you run into issues where the review is malicious, it's untrue, and it's obviously intended to damage and harm you, then any defamation lawyer, such as our firm, would be able to assist you. Here's a few other examples that I think are important to look at in terms of how not to respond to customers. There's nothing improper about the responses from a legal perspective. But again, the question is, do you wish to go down that road where this review, such as in this case, are posted online and other individuals will look at your business and could possibly further agitate the situation? So I want to give you an example here. There was a case in Australia that just was in the news, and it's been in the news for a number of years. A dentist posted a review against another dentist. He did so anonymously, and he tried to conceal his identity. And nobody knew who the poster was of this negative review. It was quite negative. But the dentist that received the review was adamant and determined to find out who the reviewer was. And so he pursued this individual through the Australian court system and was successful. He has forced Google to reveal the anonymous reviewer's details because the reviewer was simply named as CBSM23. So nobody would know who that would be. And so the court ordered Google to release the IP address, the phone number, and the full contact information of the poster. And so this individual now has been sued for defamation and slander and all types of other things in the Australian court. And Ontario courts have done the same thing. We've had many cases where people think that by posting simply anonymously, they're not going to be found. If the plaintiff is determined to find the anonymous poster, the court is not going to stand in the way. The court will order the production of the IP address and any information that that particular business has, the internet provider, on that individual. So you can see here, there was another case in Ontario where a number of individuals had posted on a forum in 2012, and the case dragged on for a number of years, very negative comments about some investment advisors. And nobody knew who these individuals were. Surely the plaintiffs had an idea, but the plaintiff was successful in getting the court to reveal the information of these individuals. So first, the court ruled that providing the lawsuit by email in some cases, so even by private messages through the forum, was now good enough, because typically when you serve somebody with a lawsuit, it has to happen through direct contact with that individual through personal service. In this case, the court determined, no, we are simply going to provide the plaintiff with the ability to serve the lawsuit through the email that is on file at that forum or through the online messaging system. In that case, the judge also found that the defamation libel had occurred in that particular case, and he avoided damages of up to $35,000 against each defendant in that case. And he also assessed aggravated and punitive damages, because some of the comments were very malicious and negative and toxic. And so the judge really wanted to ensure that the defendants learned their lesson. So I've just highlighted here some of the language for some of these judgments, is that if you are impersonating a customer and maliciously penning a Google review and bring into hatred, ridicule, and contempt, and you gravely injure somebody's reputation and business, you could be liable. So to every small business owner, to every customer, I would say it's not worth the risk. If you're angry about something, leave a review that addresses factually what is improper. And if you're a business owner and it's a fake review, either take the legal remedies to have it removed or engage a marketing company that, like Miriam does, to do the same. So what are the 4 points of online reviews? Number one, don't make things up. Whether you're a customer or business owner, don't engage in fabricating reviews or stories that are not true, either for yourself or against your competitor. 2, make sure it's true and you can prove it. So if you're leaving a review for someone, make sure that you can back it up. If you're saying that somebody didn't perform the job that they were supposed to, make sure you can prove that. If, on the other hand, you dealt with a competitor and you're not happy with the way they interacted with you, same thing. Be specific. The more information you provide in a review, the better. And the more information you keep in writing is also better for any possible future action. If you're unhappy with the way that you as a small business dealt with another company or customer wasn't happy with you, reach out to that individual and tell the company about the issue. You can always ask also the customer to modify the review if you feel there is a way to cooperatively resolve the situation. One of the primary reasons why this is important is because Ontario has also passed anti-SLAPP legislation. And so this legislation is lawsuits against public participation. And we've seen this more and more in Ontario and across Canada, where companies or business owners will try to bring strategic lawsuits to prevent reviews or to prevent public participation in certain topics. And so one perfect example of that was this teacher in Ontario who had engaged in a discussion on Facebook to talk about some issues with respect to garbage and disposal that had occurred in her community. And a libel lawsuit was commenced against her by a company that had claimed she wasn't correct. And in fact, she was criticizing that company's deposit fill in an in-town pit. And they'd initially sent her a letter telling her to remove the post. She removed the post, but then was still served with a libel lawsuit of $120,000. And in that case, she fought the lawsuit and fortunately won. And the lawsuit was dismissed. Of importance, however, is to note that majority of people do end up settling these lawsuits. So what that means is that not everybody has $50,000, $60,000 to go to a trial on a lawsuit with respect to this type of situation. And so if the company says, well, we'll drop the $120,000 lawsuit if you pay us $30,000, many individuals will settle. And so I always say to my clients, if you're posting online and engaging in some kind of discussion where you're criticizing a business and whatnot, it's really important that you make sure that you don't post anything that could expose you to that. Because at the end of the day, you may find yourself facing a plaintiff who is pursuing damages against you, who's very aggressive, and who has the financial resources to take this matter all the way. So always consider the pros and cons of proceeding with such things. As COVID-19 has arrived, obviously many businesses have had the necessity to relocate their brick and mortar store online. And it's the inevitable result of the current situation that we're in. So one of the things that is important, I think, to talk about now is the legal considerations for selling online. What do you have to know if your business is selling products online? Well, first, you should obtain a consent from a customer before sending any commercial electronic messages to them. So I sometimes see this. I will receive unsolicited emails from various businesses outside of Canada soliciting my business. And that's not legal based on what we have in this country. So if you're a business operating in Ontario, Canada, any other province, you can't just be randomly messaging or email people soliciting their business. There is legislation that prevents that. So you can't be emailing them, you can't be contacting them on social media and cell phones. There are ways around that. You can ask to work with certain companies if they're social influencers or they have liked a post of yours. So there's certain ways to engage in conversation, but cold calling or cold emailing customers is not permitted. If people do this type of conduct and you have permission, It's important that you identify yourself, identify the agency that's working on your behalf. The email that you're sending must have an unsubscribe button to be into effect immediately. And make sure that you don't put any false representation. So whatever, if you're offering a product at $20.99 and somebody calls you and then the product is $30.99, well, that would be false representation. So making sure that you don't do that. Finally, if you are engaging in this type of sending out mass emails of information to clients about your company product, it's important that the emails that you have are properly stored. And I go back again to our privacy component where the storing of information of customers is essential. You're also not allowed to collect electronic addresses through computer programs. And that's something that's really essential because a lot of medium-sized businesses that are sometimes in the construction business or service industry violate this rule unknowingly, but it is there and it is expressly forbidden. So what are the legal recommendations that I have for you today? Number one, do not post fake reviews. Number two, do not engage in negative conduct with customers or anonymous users online. We also recommend that you delete tracking cookies and browsing history from your computer regularly, especially if it's a business computer, to ensure that it decreases the risk of hacking or somebody stealing your information. We recommend that review security settings on social networks and stay updated on new features and settings. Make sure that you update your privacy software on a regular basis and that you don't let your subscription expire. And then it's important that you choose safe and secure passwords. We recommend that you change your passwords on a regular basis, that you have two-step verification with your phone, that you don't store your clients' credit cards on your computers or the servers because that exposes them to certain risks. And we think that whenever possible, don't store any personal information about a client. Remember that anything that you post is posted publicly. Even if it's private, it exists on Facebook. A colleague or a friend or family member could, as a joke, screenshot your post and share it with someone, and it ends up in the open wide internet. And the final conclusion is think twice before posting. Is it worth the risk? What would a lawyer think if he read your post? Is this something that could expose you to legal risk, or is it something that is absolutely necessary? So that's really the main points of this presentation, and I'll be happy to pass on Miriam to provide some additional great advice to you guys.
Oh my gosh, this was amazing. Everything you mentioned, everything from being careful with the information they post on, everybody posts online, to the Google reviews. We see them on a weekly basis now, where someone has posted something online and someone else has screenshotted, and now it's being used to their disadvantage. So you're absolutely correct. You do need to think twice before posting. It's very important that every information that goes out, as far as email goes, as far as posting online, as far as looking at content that you're about to take and put online, step back, think about it. Does it make sense? Is it part of my marketing plan before you put it online? So I'm going to share my screen with everybody. And I'm going to get into the most important part that Daniel was so kind to share with us, and it's 100% true. It's all about the Google reviews. Google reviews have multiple components that are to the benefit of the business. One of the components is that it builds referrals. Businesses are able to make end users are able to make a decision about a business because of the reviews. If the reviews are positive, if the business owner has responded to the reviews, people tend to gravitate toward that business a lot more than a business that doesn't have any reviews, or that the owner of the business has never bothered responding to any. So as Daniel put it so well, there's tons of people out there that may or may not be happy with the service that they received, and they thought it's a good idea to put a negative review. So you need to have a proactive reaction. Sorry, you need to be proactive when it comes to anything that's related to the reputation of your business, especially when it comes to online. Mainly because online, it sits there forever. For the history of your business, that information will be there. So you want to be proactive. And in order for that to happen, some of us have been forced to work from home because of COVID. So it's in a lot of ways we're one man or a one woman show when it comes to taking care of our business reputation. If we're a small business, if we were able to get some of our employees to stick with us and work with them, they can help you out. So you don't want an employee to go online and respond to a review without having a plan. What I recommend is to have a proactive plan for how to respond to negative reviews. So first thing you ask yourself, should I respond to the review? Absolutely. You have to make sure that this is part of your customer service. You have to make sure that the person that's on the other end, their voice is heard, and there's an action plan for them to know what's going to happen with the unhappiness that they felt where they got your service, and that you're going to provide something better. Responding to negative review is a proactive way to kind of provide a positive experience for your customers, and it sits there. Therefore, others can see it. Others can see that you, as a business owner, are the type of person that you will make sure that your customers are always happy regardless. And you want to kind of think about what are the comments to the negative review. We have a client who is extremely proactive. He will ask his clients to leave reviews, bad or good. And when the client does leave a review, he responds to it, whether bad or good, instantly. You can have it set up on your phone where you get a ping, and as soon as you get a ping for the review that you've received, you can respond to it. Now, you need, as part of your proactive plan, have a set of dialogues put together for you and your team members to kind of go back and pick whichever works best for whatever situation is that the review has come in, and then post it. So you want to make sure that you're responding to a negative review, and there's 4 things that you have to make sure it happens. You have to sympathize with the client. They need to know, as you saw some of the examples Daniel showed, the first thing the person said is, I'm sorry you have felt this way. I understand it could be frustrating to walk into a store and you had a bad experience, or you received something from us and it wasn't what you expected. And then ask if you can take the conversation offline. The reason is sometimes, as Daniel mentioned, certain individuals are leaving those comments not because of the bad experience, but because they want to kind of damage your reputation. So by taking it offline, you're getting rid of that long discussion that could potentially happen online. And you don't want that. You don't want the back and forth to be online. Ask them if you can connect with them via email, or you can connect with them via phone. I like phone better because it's very, with emails, you can't portray your emotions. You can't show how you feel about the person, and it's very black and white. Whereas with a phone call, you can express your thoughts and feelings much better. You want to offer an alternative solution to the problem when you completely understand what the problem was. And that again happens via phone, because sometimes we only read half of the message, or we only understand half of the email. So why don't we just get on the phone and find out what exactly happened and what are the solutions we can offer. We have a client that every time something goes wrong, he asks if he can actually go to the person's place and rectify the situation. And I absolutely love that. He owns a landscaping company, and he and his team show up to the place and fix things. And to me, that's a sign of, I care enough to come back to you and fix whatever the problem is. You want to ask a client, once you talk to the client, let's say the client's super happy with the alternative solution that they got from you, and or that you've returned their money, or whatever way you pick to solve the problem, you want to ask them if they can write a review regarding how you helped them solve the problem. Not necessarily because you're asking for a better review, you're asking for this person to say, hey, you know what, we did have a conversation, it went well, they went out of their way to keep me, their client, happy. So that's very important. Now, people don't always go online to let others know that they're happy. most of the times they're going on, most of the, like getting a positive review, it's not as easy. Most of the times they are online because they didn't like what they got, and therefore they're voicing their opinions about it. So in order to kind of make the reputation much easier, your reputation much, keep your reputation intact and make life easier on yourself and them, proactively ask your clients to leave a positive review. What happens is it's fine that you're getting negative reviews, but if you're asking for positive reviews, the positive reviews tend to come up higher than the negative reviews. And if you have more positive reviews and then the negative reviews are at the bottom, it's easier for you to answer to them and still connect with everybody, obviously. But it's your reputation is much, it's less damaged when there's less negative reviews. So you want to make sure that you have some processes and tools set in place. You want to identify your client's preferences. You want to make sure that if they like to get an email from you, or do they like to get a call from you for that positive review, or for that negative review, you want to make sure that you know how to connect with people. You want to select an ideal reference tool. So a lot of people like to leave reviews on Google, but then there are a lot of people that like to leave reviews on Facebook. So find out what your client's preferences are and monitor that platform and make sure that you're on top of all the connections. You want to set up an in-house process. This is very important. Let's say you have a car rental place and someone comes in and they have a grievance with the vehicle that they've received, and they've gone online and written a review and they came back to talk to you about it. You need to have a process. There's a few steps that needs to be taken in place. You need the individuals that are running the show to know what questions to ask, why the car didn't work, why you were having issues with it. So these questions will help you understand what the problem was, and then you can provide a solution. The same thing with online. You need to provide a set of questions for your employees to ask, and that could include, what happened, who spoke to this client, what did they buy, why was there a price difference if there was one, why was the product, if they bought a product, how come the product didn't work. So these questions helps you improve your running your business much more, and it helps you understand why the client's upset, and it helps everybody to maintain your brand and to maintain the communication that leads your business to the outside world. You want to set up a process. Okay, well, if the client is upset and we know what the problem is, what's the process? Am I going to talk to the client? Who's the front line? Is it the secretary is going to be speaking to the client, and then the account manager is going to be speaking to the client, and then me, in case if it needs to, come up to the pole to the person that is in charge of the business? Or am I, as the business owner, going to take on the responsibility of talking to unhappy clients? So you want to have that set in place. You want to set up, kind of a timetable. I always tell my client, Monday mornings, get online and look at your reviews. If you were selling a product online, they spent the weekend purchasing your products. If you have a business that, you provide services 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, what happened last week? Was there any unhappy clients, and did they leave you any reviews? And check all the, sites that provide reviews. If you're on Yelp, if you're on Facebook, if you are on Google, make sure that you check all the platforms for all the reviews that are put in place. And collect data. Data is very important. We're a very data-driven society right now as it is. So make sure that if you have, 200 happy reviews online, collect the name and the name of the people that have left those good reviews for you, and also the bad reviews. You kind of want to know who they are, and at what point in the business, what happened, why are they upset, how will you take advantage of that information to improve your business. You always want to build legitimacy, and this is very important because legitimacy represents your business, and it builds a balance across all sides of who you are, what your business represents, and your brand. You want to make sure that if you are on Google, Yelp, and Facebook, take full advantage of that for optimizing your website. if there is a website that you have, which you should if you are going to be online. And you want to make sure that that legitimacy is intact, and nothing will change that. Nothing will change the way people view you or your business or the way that you deal with your clientele. You can take full advantage of Google, Yelp, and Facebook for optimization purposes. And every time someone mentions your company name, you get a bump up on your ranking. So you want to build that trust where when there's more positive reviews that are legit, then you can build that trust. Now, there is this really bad trick that, especially right now during COVID, it's being very, it's always been around, but there's an increase of individuals that contact small businesses and ask them if the business is interested in buying positive reviews, and the same thing, buying time on their website, or buying traffic to their website. This is a very unethical way of representing your business. Buying a review, it will hurt your business more than it will help your business. They'll offer you 50 to 2,000 positive reviews, but then what ends up happening is when they post it, it's not a person that's posting it, it's a bot. So the bot will post words that has been predefined. So the predefined word could be great, love the business, fantastic. And there's no, and you as a person can look at that and realize that this is fake from the first instant you look at it. So therefore, if you can figure it out, then everybody else can. And that actually doesn't help your business, because now you're a business that not only I didn't have a good experience with, that I'm going to write a review about. Now I see all these fake reviews that are perfect about your business. There's 2,000 of them, but none of them actual real. So this will hurt your business a lot more. I highly recommend that you do not participate in any sort of a purchasing reviews or traffic or anything that's unethical. It will actually hurt your business in the long run as far as optimization goes as well. We have one client that had 11 stores Canada-wide. They came to us and said that they don't get any ranking. They were spending thousands of dollars on SEO. They were spending thousands of dollars on ads, and they were getting 0 ranking. It took us a really long time, and we had to hire an investigator to figure out what the problem was. And then it dawned on us that these guys have thousands of fake reviews that they had purchased because they thought it would help their optimization. And Google had realized that what happens is the way Google looks at it, it says, well, Miriam's website, they bought traffic, so they got hit by one IP address 2,000 times. Again, Miriam's Google page, Google review page or Google map also got hit 1,000 times from the exact same IP. So what happens? They'll shut it down. They'll say anything that comes to this address or from this address is considered a bot, which is tiny bots and spiders, that robotic spiders that come and search your pages. Well, if that happens, you've lost your ranking. You've lost where you were. Now you're at the bottom because they don't want, IP addresses that are irrelevant to be hitting the site as many times as it is. So don't do that. That's a bad idea. The second thing is that I've heard clients suggesting, well, why don't we offer monetary compensation for positive reviews? That always backfires because people will take the money and say, I was offered X amount of dollars to write this review. And that's exactly how they would word it. And that would hurt your reputation as well. You don't want to create fake accounts, as Daniel mentioned, and leave positive reviews either. That's a big no-no. And what ends up happening is we had clients that called us and were flat out telling us, I created 10 fake accounts and I was writing reviews and none of them are sticking. I can't get them to stick on Google. Well, Google knows that it's from the same IP, it's from the same address, and it's from the same computer. Obviously, it's not going to stick. So don't try that as also as well. And as I said, don't buy website traffic. So buying a website traffic, it actually 100% works against you. I was recently quoted in National Post about an organization that had bought traffic to their website, and they wanted to show that they've been that their site is doing very well and people are very interested in their services. Therefore, people are spending a long period of time on their website. And the news journalist that connected with me and asked me about this service of buying traffic to the website had done an investigation and found and traced where they had bought the traffic from, who they bought it from, how much they paid for it, and what were the links that they were paying for. And he had evidence, and he shared that evidence with me. He shared that evidence with National Post, and that is traceable. Everything you do online is traceable. So if you have the proper, investigators to look at these issues, they can find it. They can find anything. So he showed me this evidence and he said, look, they're buying traffic. What are your thoughts on this? And I said, it's very unethical. And it actually worked against them because now the news knew about it. So for an extra minute on a website, they're losing their reputation. They're losing, their investors. They're probably going to be prosecuted for their actions. And it's all because of that one extra minute that they wanted someone to stay on their website. And it's absolutely not worth it. In addition to that, if the site, as I said, is hit constantly from that one IP address, it actually brings down your search ranking. And that's the last thing that you want. And Daniel mentioned this, and I'm going to mention this again because we partnered up with other marketing agencies, and we have one marketing agency that just reached out to us and said that their clients actually getting sued because they've been taking photos off of another person's Instagram account and posting it onto their Instagram account. And now they're being sued because they thought, well, the person that I'm taking the pictures from is in Australia and we're in Canada and nothing will happen to us. So it's fine, we can totally do that. Well, no, what you don't know is that depending on the photographer and how savvy they are and the tools that they use, almost every picture is traced by a pixel. So unless if it's on social media, but then every picture is retraceable. So you can retrace it from anywhere. And there's nothing we can do for this client. I mean, like if they're being sued, they're being sued. There's nothing we can do. These are the things you need to remember. The moment the photo is taken, the photographer takes that photo, that image is copyright. So you cannot touch that. If it doesn't come from your camera or that you have paid to photo gallery sites or photo vault sites like Photolea, Adobe, Getty, they're not your pictures. If you didn't pay for them where there's a trace, then you can say, you know what, no, I paid $30 for this photo. That's not your photo. Sometimes people actually say, well, I got it from Canva. Okay, but did you buy it directly from Canva or you took one of the stock images that they had? So you got to think about that before you take any photo. So photographers can ask for statutory damages because you took something that wasn't theirs. Unless the person has a photographer's permission, you cannot do any of the following to the image. You can't reproduce an image. You can display it publicly. You can create derivative works based upon it, and then you cannot distribute copies to other sales, rent, lease, or lending of that photo. This is so important. Even if you work with a photographer, unless if the photographer is giving you an email that says, thank you for the payment of these photos, you can use these photos, or it's giving you a USB stick with all the photos and it's yours, the transaction is done, do not use those photos. Again, depending on if you're using a local photographer, everybody can trace their photos back. So this is very important. This also applies to text and content that are written. We have clients that want to optimize their website, and then you look at their website and all the information that they have is either content that they have is either copied from competitor site, or they have articles that were written by others, and these guys just took that same article, copied and pasted into their site. Well, that's all copyright. You cannot take content that belongs to someone else. And it actually brings down your search ranking when Google, as far as Google's concerned, because Google has seen this content somewhere else first. So by you copying and pasting it, you're not doing yourself any favors. It's not going to increase your ranking. All it's doing is saying, I am stealing this information. There's ways around articles. You can copy, you can take the link to a particular article that's been written. So we do this for a lot of our bankruptcy trustee clients right now. There's tons of articles that are written by others, by government agencies, or you know, mortgage companies or other financial industry related companies that are great for our clients that are planning to claim bankruptcy. So what we'll do is we'll take that information and then we write a blog saying, we read this incredible article, source the article, this is where the article came from, and these are our opinion of what's happening and what our thoughts are based on this article. So you're still using that article, but you're providing a reference to where the article came from, providing the proper link, and that link is actually a good link to your website, so you do want to put that link in there. And you also want to make sure that the information that you're providing to people are based on your opinion, and it's not just a copy paste of someone else. That is an acceptable way of sharing someone else's content, and that's a good way to build some positive link backs to other people's website as well. So Daniel and I are here for you to help you however you need it. This presentation was brought to you by our wonderful friends at York Small Business Enterprise Center. And this video will be available on our website, including York Region Small Business Enterprise Center as well. So feel free to share your information with us. And if you have any questions, we will be happy to answer them. Daniel, did you have anything else you would like to add?
No, that was excellent. So anytime you need legal advice or any type of assistance, you're welcome to contact us at the information that we've provided, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
Amazing.
Thank you for listening.
Awesome. Great. So have yourself a great day, everyone. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.